So, hi everyone. I'm very excited to be here today and see you all in person after 2 long years that we were in virtual mode. Um, Before we begin, I want to present myself and Growing AL for those of you who don't know me. Growing AL is the Israeli Active Community. It's a government initiative of the Israel Innovation Institute, Israel Innovation Authority, Ministry of Economy, and Ministry of Agriculture. And the community was established or created out of the understanding that in order to create here a strong ecosystem or industry in the active field, we need to create a supporting platform for them to get together and share knowledge, networking, and create collaboration opportunity for them. So, how do we do that, and how do we provide them these opportunities? We have two strategic channels. The first is ecosystem development, which includes four elements. The first one is events. We're creating all sorts of events. And for example, we just launched last week the fact that Israel's Agri-Food Week is going to be on next November, physical in Tel Aviv. Looking for all of you to take part of it. Invite people from abroad. It's going to be huge after virtual, so it's going to be actually physical and have a lot of networking and opportunities for the members. In addition, we're creating all sorts of tools for the startups. For example, I know that there's a lot of investors here in the audience. So I don't know if you're part of our investors map, but this map has more than 100 funds within it. And when startups are looking for investment, it really helps them to understand which VC is relevant for them. So if you're not part of it, I invite you to join. And startups, feel free to use it, and we will connect you to them. So that's for the tools. In addition, besides the event that we're holding each month, we want to talk with our members on a daily basis and bring to their attention what's going on in the global agtech industry. So we're communicating with them from via LinkedIn, Facebook, newsletter, and it's also an opportunity for them to interact with one another, share opportunities, job offers, etc. So I invite you to join the platform. In addition to what we do, we connect the members to their wishes, whether it's to strategic partners, to investors, farmers, etc. And here you can see some power numbers related to investors. Another channel that we have is our open innovation process, where we want to bring the industry access with the startup access by creating open innovation processes such as demo days, hackathon, challenge competition, etc., that eventually will lead to joint collaboration, such as joint POCs, beta sites, implementation, etc. Here you can see some examples for the things that we've done in the past. So that's Growing AL in a nutshell. And if you're interested in hearing more and see how we can help you with your specific case, feel free to contact me afterwards. And with that, moving on to Tamar. Thank you.
So likewise, it's a pleasure to be here. This program on climate smart agricultures and understanding and bettering the climate context was a collaboration between Growing IL and Planetech. Planetech is the innovation community for climate change technologies. That is all technologies that can contribute to decarbonization of the economy or to help us adapt to current and future impacts of climate change. We're a joint venture between the Israel Innovation Institute and Consensus Business Group, a UK-based business group that's invested heavily in Israel in health and climate. And our mission is a simple mission. We basically want to shift the Israeli innovation ecosystem towards climate change challenges. And how do we do this? We work with stakeholders that are already climate dedicated. They already have climate as part of their agenda. But we also want to work and target our activities to work with stakeholders who have skill sets and capabilities, whether it's on the tech side, the business side, the finance side, and help them shift and pivot towards the development of the providing climate solutions. So we also have two strategic pathways, the main one of them being knowledge sharing. This program is a perfect example of our sharing of knowledge, together with also connectivity and implementation. Here we just have a few examples of provision of knowledge either through our workshops, as for this workshop, whether it's funding opportunities, whether it's pilot programs that we've run with Soroka and Khalid. In fact, today we just announced, and it's gone up onto our LinkedIn site, you can see a new challenge competition together with AB InBev, one of the biggest beverage companies, for Israeli startups who can provide solutions for the big corporates that are looking for innovations that can help them meet their net zero targets. So this is some of the pathway that we do. We led the Climate Innovation Summit here in Israel before COP26, together with government ministries, and showcasing some of the fantastic Israeli startups we have from different fields directing climate. And one of the early things that we did in Planetech was basically to map out the climate challenges. What are the domains where we're looking for solutions? And we see that the climate challenges, we have 20 challenges, which we split into 4 main challenge areas: the built environment, materials and manufacturing, nature, and land use. And anyone who wants more details can see this on our website. And why agriculture? Why did we start this first 4-week-long extended program with agriculture? First of all, we know that agtechs fall into a number of these climate challenges that we're seeing. Within land use, obviously climate-smart agriculture, soil health, food loss and waste, if we're talking about ag at the post-harvest side, and also the challenge of forest conservation, of land conservation, as agriculture is expanding onto natural land. But beyond that, we also mapped out the climate tech system here in Israel. This was done just before COP26. We mapped out the Israeli climate tech system, looking at the number of startups we have according to the different challenge areas. This was done together with the Israel Innovation Authority, a government body, in collaboration. So we looked at the number of startups, we looked at funding, we looked at barriers. And one of the things we saw when we looked at the number of startups that are allocated according to climate challenges is that the largest number of startups, the startups here is in the dark blue, that we have in Israel, of climate tech startups, fall under the Climate Smart Agriculture Challenge. We have a far smaller number that directly apply their tech to soil health. But again, here we're just looking at the main challenges, and many of the challenges, many of the solutions, and many of the agtech that relate to climate smart agriculture also are enhancing soil fertility and soil health. So we have over 100 agtech startups in Israel working in the field. And many of these startups, that sort of premise at the beginning is looking at costs. We want to increase productivity, we want to increase yield, we want to reduce costs of input. And we wanted to help startups look also at their climate context, how all these issues also are good for climate, and to approach and find solutions to climate challenges. And these are basically, if we look at the context of all the startups that have been with us in this program, they have 3 pathways. One is they support climate change mitigation by reducing emissions. These might be direct emissions, whether it's from enteric fermentation emissions, machinery, equipment. It can also be emissions due to less input, whether it's nitrogen, fertilizer, less use of water. So this is one way that agtech can help provide a climate solution, by simply reducing emissions at the farm level. Another way is by climate change resilience, by helping farmers, by helping crops grow in conditions under a changing climate. This could be increased temperature, it could be change of season, obviously changes in precipitation. All these things come together. Even humidity changes the behavior of pests and disease. So startups that deal with these issues are providing resilience to the farmers. And the third one is we'll be looking at the agri-food supply chain, resource efficiency, and managing better along the supply chain. And that can also provide resilience and reduce emissions. And the one last thing regarding climate smart agriculture is that not only can we reduce emissions as part of mitigation, but the soil itself, if you have fertile soil, it acts as a carbon sink. So really, agriculture is unique in the fact that not only can it help reduce emissions, we know it's part of the problem because of the large emissions, but it can reduce emissions according to all the new innovations that we're seeing here, but also the soil itself acts as a carbon sink. And this was part of what dictated us that we wanted to begin our first extended program, besides working alongside Growing IL, which was great fun with our sister community, because of the important role that agriculture plays, and especially AgTech in Israel.
Thank you, Tamar. So why we created this program was because of the understanding that we want to assist AgTech startups create a value proposition in the climate area and quantify their environmental impact, and not just say that we're increasing yield with lesser inputs, but really give it a number, and really expand their relevancy among investors and egg corporates due to the increased interest that has around climate. So as part of the program, which was a month, we had an extensive and very nice ecosystem partners, and it's a great opportunity to thank you all for your contribution and really helping us create this wonderful program. And we had 16 startups, and as part of the program, we shared with them information and tools regarding how to quantify their impact, talked about trends and what drivers of climate agriculture and the bodies that leading this transition. They got feedback from investors on their solution, working with them in order to create the final pitch that you will be hearing here today. And with that, I would like to begin. Tamal?
We'll also be looking at other quantitative changes, whether it's changes in water use, reduced land expansion, stressed area that's targeted, and when relevant, the amount of carbon that can be sequestered in soils. Okay, so the startups will be pitching their climate focus. This isn't going to be a regular pitch. They're going to be giving a little bit of background regarding, obviously, their business case, who their customers are, what they're doing, the tech itself. But the focus is on the climate focus. They're bringing knowledge gained along this month, and we'll take into account, obviously, that this is the beginning of a pathway, and they'll be continuing to deepen their knowledge on climate as time goes by. Each startup has been given 3 minutes for their pitch. We're going to be strict with the time. Startups, let me tell you that there's a clock here in front of you where we have a rundown of the 3 minutes. Okay, we'll take a single 1 or 2 questions, depending on the length of questions and answers afterwards. If we don't have enough time for questions, there'll be plenty of time afterwards where anyone that wants can approach a startup and deepen their knowledge and ask them questions. Also, the microphone isn't that marvelous, so please keep it as close to your lips as possible in order to be heard. And I'm very happy to invite Erez Eliyahu from Climate Crop. Can I say you changed your name, or you want to mention it? I want to say that Climate Crop, up till 2 weeks ago, in the midst of our session and our program, was called Matagene. And I like to think that as a consequence of our program, they changed their name to Climate Crop. Over to you.
So hi, I'm Erez from Climate Crop. And the problem we are trying to solve is not unique for us, but everybody is trying to solve it. In 2015, there will be 10 million people in the world. Land degradation is accelerating, and climate change is getting worse. So to mitigate this problem, we're increasing crops' yield, growth, and resilience by maximizing land use and reducing the need for new land and inputs like water and fertilizers. Our technology is by simple modification of just one gene in the plant. We're reducing the negative regulation from the starch synthesis process, and by this improving photosynthesis and yield. Because our gene exists in almost all the vascular plants, we can do almost everything: crops, flowers, trees, you name it. And even 10% increase in yield can be translated to a huge profit. We can also see our impact in the industry, where we can do biofuel, wood, fiber, and paper, food for human food, animal food, feed, vertical farming, and of course, climate. So far, we tested our technology on 3 crops. So in sorghum and canola, we saw 24 and 41 percentage increase in yield. In potatoes, we saw 19% increase in yield. And not only that, we saw that our crops are resilient to abiotic stress as we grow the potato out of season in the summer, and we got 27% more survival and 40% more yield. From the carbon perspective, so 2 main points we can have an impact. One is the acceleration of growth of trees to store more carbon and fast. And if just we take, for example, the Trillion Trees initiative, so if we can just by 10% improve the growth of tree, we can absorb more 1 gigaton of carbon more. And the second point is increase the yield with the same resources, and by this reduce the carbon footprint. And we can take a potato for an example. We can look at it at specific factors like nitrogen, how much nitrogen is needed for one growth of for 1 hectare of potato for all season. And because we are almost doubling the yield, the net impact worldwide, which is 19 million hectares, we are saving almost 7.5 megatons of carbon. We can also look at it more broadly at the potato footprint. And in this case, the net impact worldwide will be 18 megaton of carbon. This, of course, can be translated to profit as almost $1 billion in carbon credit. This is our team, and thank you for listening.
Hi. Well, over 20% of greenhouse gas emissions are attributed to agriculture. Now, improper use of pesticides, manure, and fertilizers greatly contributes to this. In fact, misuse of pesticides and fertilizers is a global phenomenon that results in reducing food security and has a significant effect on climate change. And just as some examples, up to 40% of global yield is lost due to pests and diseases. Now, this requires more land and increases carbon emissions. A shocking fact regarding fertilizers, only 35% of nitrogen applied by farmers is actually used by plants. 65% are lost to the environment and have a significant effect on carbon footprint. Now, on the farm level, farmers are facing many uncertainties and ever-changing environmental conditions under which they have to make hundreds of complex decisions on a daily basis. What pest is this, which pesticide to use, what fertilizer to use, at which time, and more. Cumulatively, those decisions have a significant impact on climate change. I'm Guy Sela, co-founder and CEO of YieldUp, the world's first artificial intelligence agronomist. We help farmers to make better decisions. But unlike a human agronomist, our AI agronomist is capable of analyzing millions of different scenarios and parameters and produce optimal plans of action and predictive insights to the farmers. This results in significant savings on agrochemicals and in better yields. Now, putting this in figures on a global scale, if we increase the use efficiency of agrochemicals by 25%, we can save 150 million tons of carbon emissions. Now, one of the problems is that there are over 75% of smallholder farmers. This is the majority of the farmers. How do we reach them? We realized that in order to do that and really make an impact, okay, we have to, of course, have a scalable technology And two, work together with the food companies and the local research institutes. So we are a B2B company. Now, those are not just words, okay? Those are not just words. We have proven that in Colombia, for instance, in the coffee industry, we increased yields by 25%, 20% less agrochemicals. On a global scale, in the coffee industry, that's 29 million tons of carbon emissions saved. And in regards the carbon credits market potential, there is a potential of $1.75 billion. And this in coffee industry alone. Thank you.
Shalom, my name is Roy Livne. I'm the Chief Business Development of Geneer. In the next 3 minutes, I'll present our technology and its contribution for the environment and for climate resilience. The need, as appeared in Syngenta latest sustainable business report, is for crops that adjust for abiotic stress like cold tolerance and drought tolerance, is the largest unmet need of the grower, and it is estimated by $200 billion annually. This slide shows the potential area of climate resilient crops. The slide show in the blue area you can see soybean and wheat area in the USA, Brazil and Argentina that are prone for drought. And for example, soybean is 20 to 25 million hectare. Since there are additional crops, additional countries and additional traits, the potential for climate resilient crops is tens of millions of hectares per year. Our vision is increase food security by providing climate resilient crops using Geneer key technology. The technology is places a lock on the protection on the trait. It's a short non-coding sequence that within the plant, and it blocks the trait, block the protection until it's needed. For example, when a farmer see that a drought is coming, it can apply it can apply an inducer by standard spraying, and then it will activate the trait for a short time, the protection against drought for 7 to 14 days, and then it locks again until further activation. And this gives the grower the control on precise activation of the protection. It improves crop resilience and also yield. So our target is to improve yield by at least minimum 15%, and on top of it we can use more land, marginal lands, etc. Global emission from crops is 3 gigatons, and about 17% is estimated to be lost because of climate change, or half a gigaton. On top of it, climate resilient crop can be grown on marginal lands, or alternatively use less land and chemicals. I started here to do the calculation on drought tolerant soybean, and then move to the entire market. We can save 438 kg for 1 hectare of soybean, and it's translated to half a megaton per the first year, and 2.5 for the fifth year. I finished my time, so anyway, thank you.
So, hi everyone, my name is Yosef Levy, and I am the Biz Dev Manager at Breville. Like all of my colleagues here, Breville comes also to save the world. Breville's mission is to disrupt the food industry by providing alternative protein, which is full amino acid profile, highly functional, color and flavor, neutral, affordable, and of course, sustainable. We do that by using microalgae, which is the ultimate source of protein in our planet. And the unique technology that we developed, which in the first time in the world combines sugar-based fermentation and light in industrial scale. By providing natural, sustainable, and affordable alternative protein, Breville reduces CO2 emission by more than 95%, and land and water use by more than 98%. The food industry is the second largest polluter in this planet. And I want to stop here to emphasize this. Because if we only stop using animal in our diet, we will easily meet our climate goals. But it's much more easy said than done. And believe me, I know that. I tried several of times to be a vegan, and I failed. To do this, we must find a solution which is really tasty, non-allergenic, and truly sustainable. And microalgae, with our technology, is exactly this, my friends. Now, let's quantify this with numbers. Just to be clear, we are comparing to a soy, which is the benchmark. If I was comparing to a meat, the numbers would just be ridiculous. Even with soy, we can reduce this 1.1 gigaton by more than 95%. And it's not just talking. In this year, we already saved 91 tons of CO2 emission. And on top of reducing CO2 emission, we can save so much land for reforestation, conserve huge amount of water, which will become even more essential in the future, and stop dumping chemical, pesticides, and whatnot into food, land, and rivers. The climate challenge map. So as you can see and already guess, Breville is actually the solution for 3 areas: land use, nature, and materials. Thank you very much, my friends, about the time, and let's do it together.
Hi, everyone. Every aspect of a crop's life cycle, from genetic to precision irrigation and mechanized harvesting, is controlled. But pollination, the last mile must-have of agricultural yields, remain fully dependent on either dwindling population of bees and insects or climate change-induced desynchronization of male and female blossoms or different variety blooms, which is disrupting reproduction. This has a severe impact on agricultural yields and global food security. IDIT developed the world's first commercially ready artificial pollination as a service, using all natural pollen bank and changing the delivery vector from bees, insects, and wind to a sophisticated and accurate machine. IDIT's artificial pollination adds value by enabling growers not only to control pollination, but to optimize genetic matching for each variety, overcome this synchronization problem, and significantly increase yields. IDIT artificial pollination adds value. Oh, sorry. Our initial focus is on the Californian almond and pistachio market, representing a potential annual revenue of more than $500 million for pollination services. Nuts are super healthy food. IDIT can now allow growers to grow up to 25% more yields based on the same soil and water resources. IDIT addresses not only the Zero Hunger SDG, fully measurable, but also climate action, adaptation by resolving the desynchronized bloom, and biodiversity through protecting bees and long-term preservation of pollen. Here is our next 5 years effect on carbon emission, based on the US almond and pistachio only. But since we will pollinate many other crops like apples, pears, cherries, canola, and sunflowers all over the world, the effect will be much greater. Remember, no pollination, no orchard trees, no bush, no fields. IDIT is your plan B. Thank you.
Okay. Hello, everyone. My name is Gad Martin, and I'm the co-founder and CEO of Solidrip. Our mission is to boost urban greening and to promote biophilic cities. Drip irrigation in use today, designed for a monoculture agriculture and urban and green spaces, characterized with a huge variety of planting methods and environmental conditions. Therefore, the use of current drip irrigation technologies in urban green spaces results in clean water wastage, water runoff damages, and high maintenance cost. Our technology is an autonomous drip irrigation that always provide each plant the optimal irrigation, automatically adjust to any environmental changes, and to the plant development. Our technology allow to plant a variety of plants along a single irrigation line, supporting any substrates and planting method. Now, the world is facing a rapid urbanic trend, and cities already consume more than 3/4 of the world energy and account for more than 2/3 of the global greenhouse gases emissions. Therefore, the green spaces are actually the ecosystem lungs and liver, mitigating air pollution and reducing the environment temperature. Now, the open urban spaces are very limited and the land is very expensive. So the solution is to develop green spaces on buildings, rooftops, walls, balconies, courtyards, and of course, the municipality landscape. Now, our solution saves more than 60% of irrigation water and the same for fertilizers. And we can save more than 60% of CO2 emissions per square meters. We predict that we will reduce 1.8 kiloton of CO2 emissions in 5 years. Now, I want to express additional climate impact. Let's look at the green roof market, which is growing rapidly, showing a 80% of annual growth rate. Even saying that, most of the buildings deploy extensive green roofs because of irrigation challenges. And the extensive green roofs are much less productive. With solar, we can increase the amount of intensive green roofs, mitigating floods by retention and detention of stormwater, to increase biodiversity by planting a mix of native and non-native plants, and of course reduce buildings' energy consumption. Thank you very much.
In Polygreen, we manufacture super absorbent biodegradable polymers. And as for plant use, it serves mainly as a soil additive for climate smart agriculture and to tackle desertification, reforesting the desert areas. So the technology and background: available water, nutrients, and prolonged protection are necessary mainly to the sensitive growing stages of the plant as transplanting. So if you are trying to reforest the desert areas with their poor resources, we can help there. Besides the high water holding capacity of the polymer that reduce irrigation frequency, we can also load the polymer with organic and inorganic compounds that are released gradually to the environment and reduce the usage of the field management of the agrochemicals. This reduction is significantly reduce the gas emissions of agriculture. Think of microgranules that are around the rhizosphere of the plant and constantly release pesticides, fertilizers to the plant along the growth of the plant. This is a big slide, but just to show you how we calculated our potential impact, we considered 5 aspects we already proved we can tackle with irrigation frequency reduction, fertilizers, and pesticides. We can reduce in the net calculation 48% of the gas emissions. And if we're talking about first year adding our polymer to 10,000 of hectares, we can reduce almost 50K of gas emissions. And if you think, I know we are a small country, but if you think of like Tesla, they sold last year 10,000 gas emissions. You don't have to manufacture the Tesla or to buy it, and you don't have to wait 7 years until you wait for the carbon credit. So here we give you right away 50,000 Ks of carbon dioxide reduction equal to 10,000 cars. And if you look at the year 5, we grow 10 times and we go for 100,000 hectares, 0.5 megaton are reduced. And if it's not enough, we have other potential impacts that we can support. I see one half. And we can support it directly and indirectly, as you can see here. So what happened? And just tell you, we're currently working about a project to develop a new novel media that is peat independent, that in the end it will reduce the peat mining, which is the cause of 10% of gas emissions globally. So to summarize and to address Polygreen on the climate challenge map, our novel materials support climate smart agriculture. The biodegradability characteristic supports soil health and biodiversity, and hopefully in the future we will reduce peat mining. And I hope you could already understand that sustainability is a main pillar of our company. Thank you for your attention.
Okay, hi. I'm replacing our CEO that just got COVID, so excuse me for the... Okay, so what we're doing, Being Klima, we are dual use, double income. Our vision is to enable sustainable urban agriculture by combining solar power and hydroponic crops, creating ecosystem of urban farmers. And when I talk about urban farmers, is high-tech ecosystem of urban farmers. The climate profile. Dual-use technologies that enable urban agrivoltaic project on roofs and gardens, reduce urban heat load and greenhouse gas emission while provide solar power and fresh produce. Our main customers are supermarkets, hotels, schools, retirement homes, community centers. We got a very solid patent approved, and it's affordable. We got 20% ROI, return of investment yearly. Let's see the big picture of the climate challenge. Climate smart agriculture, reduced emission in transportation of fresh produce, up to 10 kilometers instead of hundreds. In the US alone, 95% of the lettuce is produced in Arizona and California. Think about the trucks that goes to the East Coast. We reduced land use, utilize rooftops for agriculture. Clean energy system, we generate solar energy instead of fossil fuel. Low carbon buildings, we save 20% of building cooling costs due to insulation of the building. Look at this is in the center of Tel Aviv on the high school. Okay, distribution of kilogram CO2 equivalent emission in different agriculture system per tons of lettuce. Okay, this is per ton of lettuce. Conventional vertical farming, this is a strong buzzword. Look at the amount of energy and the climate disasters that they cost. The second in line, open field agriculture. The green represent transportation. Look at the third one, conventional greenhouse. Again, transportation. And look at us. Being Klima, we doesn't emit CO2. We prevent the emission of CO2 in that amount, 10,000 kilograms CO2 per ton of lettuce. We got additional several climate impact data. Building thermal isolation, we save energy about 20%. Water storage, we reuse of rainwater to gray water, and we can act as blue roof, reduce floods in the city, increase resilience in the city. Thank you very much.
Hi everyone, pleasure to be here. My name is Ron and I head the business development for Gili Ocean Technology. 75% of our world is water, yet only a small part of it is used for producing food. If we only use a tiny part of what's available for us, we can increase food security and reduce hunger by means in a climate smart way. Gili Ocean Technology is a company specializing in sustainable, innovative fish farming. Our core technology is a submersible, flexible net cage array that enables fish farming further away offshore, where fish are in their natural habitat, and the dispersion of the excessive organic matter, such as fish, feed, and feces, is dispersed in a much larger radius, reducing impact on the environment and seabed floor. To increase sustainability and reduce carbon footprint, we implement designated hybrid engine marine vessels that are saving on fuel and our own developed advanced AI visual monitoring tools. Aquaculture is the fastest food production sector, growing food production sector, with 7.5% growth a year in the last half a century. With that said, coastal marine aquaculture has some negative effects on the environment. ROS systems have greater emissions due to their high energy usage. Compared to coastal pens and ROS, Gili Ocean Technology can save hundreds of thousands to millions of tons of carbon emissions, and our total available market is 720 million tons of carbon saved annually. Locating fish farms further away offshore, where currents are stronger and it's deeper, prevents damage to habitats that are very important for carbon sequestering, like seagrass. Implementing additional technologies such as feed monitoring, automation, and precision tech reduces feed waste and optimizes feed use. If we grow on the same sea area more fish, then we free other areas to revive, and we are more energy efficient and resource efficient. I'd like to finish with a quote by Paul Greenberg, a well-known environment and food journalist. Sometimes to do better, you have to go beyond the familiar, looking for solutions out on the edge. This is us. This is Gili Ocean. This is what we do. Thank you.
Okay. Good morning, everybody. My name is Pamela Hramoy. I'm co-founder of Croptimize. I'm the CMO. I'm, of course, I apologize from the beginning. My language is Spanish, it's not English, so I will do my best. And all the stress is on you because it's my first speech, so I'm going to start. Okay, as we know, and everybody knows that, well, voila, and everybody knows that the population is growing, and at the same time, voila, it's not helping. And the population is growing, and at the same time, the agricultural land is shrinking, and plus we have the instability of the climate and the political. So we know that the planning is a must in order to secure the food production. Saying that, here we are Croptimize. We are a digital platform that we are able to plan the arable land, and we are going, voila, it's not helping me. So, it's not helping. So in order to improve the situation, we are creating this platform through our algorithm and our geospatial tools. And this means that we will be able to help in the planification to improve the optimal crops, drainage and irrigation infrastructures, and of course agriculture, and of course we are going to help to mitigate the climate impact. And to show that it's that our platform is going to work, we already did a simulation during 3 years. We only changed 15% of the production, only 3 crops, and we could see that we, in these 3 years, not only improved the revenue 8 times, we also saved in each year more than 62,000 of tons. And of course, if we talk in a bigger number, you know what happened in the last year in India, that more than 5 million hectares was lost because of not a good planning. And this is mean not only 11 billion of dollars for the country, it's mean more than 25 million of increase in the carbon emission. And if they were using our platform, only 25% of these 5 million of hectares, we could reduce the carbon emission in at least 6 millions. So Croptimize, we don't want to focus only in one problem. We want to help all the ecosystem of the food chains, and we want to improve science, the farm until the suppliers. So here is our team. This is made possible because we are more than 100 years of domain experience. We are serial entrepreneurs, and in my case, I'm coming from Argentina. I worked 6 years in a financial institution development bank, and we saw that more than the 50% of the loans are not recovered because of not a good planning. Saying that, we want to join us, please. We are going to improve all this planning, and of course, we will reduce the carbon emissions. Thanks to everybody, and apologize for the English.
Hi everyone, my name is Shir Karen. I work for Agrin Sensing Solution. What we do is we make sensors to eliminate the pesticide treatment in the plantations in the field. We target two major problems in the field. One of them are the infestation that attacks the yield, which is the fruit fly, and the second one is the infestation that attacks the tree stumps itself. Today I'll be speaking about the impact of the sensor that deals with the borer pests, with the pest that attacks the tree stump themselves. So what happens today? Growers do not have the resources and the methods to detect infestation in the plantation. That means that they treat the trees, 100% of the trees, without deferring which one is infested and which one of them isn't. 100% of the trees will be sprayed, and will be sprayed multiple times during the off season and the season itself. But we know that only with borer pests, only around 7% of them are actually infested. That means that around 93% of them are sprayed for nothing. Our tech combines two seismic sensors that brings together a mesh network that is redundant and reliable in the field, has an amazing accuracy of 98%, and gives the growers only the most important data that they need to keep it as simple as they need to have in their hands. If we speak about the common treatment for palm trees, for date palm trees, which is our first use case, every tree gets treated 4 times a year, and once it's infested, it will be treated even one more time. The treatment itself for 1 hectare is 8 liters of active chemicals and 7,200 liters of water just for the treatment, not even talking about irrigation. We want to eliminate at least 93% of them, which is the preventive treatment. If we talked about carbon impact, which is what we're here to do today, the total addressable market just for palm trees, just for date palm trees, is 94 kilotons of carbon. But 94 kilotons of carbon. For each hectare every year, our sensor can eliminate around 67 kilos of carbon. And our impact today is actually growing as we get more and more hectares with our sensors and with our system. By the end of 2022, we aim to go to 53 tons of carbon per hectare, which is, per just our activity, which is a pretty amazing number. Our additional impact is also touching the world, the workload and the regulation that the farmers need to meet. I'll just steal one more second for the market. The opportunity is endless. Today we look at a lot of types of trees, which is pretty amazing too. It adds up to 8 billion trees for our immediate market, our growing traction, and thank you.
So, good morning everyone. We are Gowi, and we are making hydroponics accessible for everyone. I'm actually going to make it very easy for you. I've summarized everything that you need to know about the company in 15 seconds, and then you can go back to your phones or eat. So 15 seconds, this is what we do. We have created an hydroponic computers that helps small-scale growers, consumer, to grow their own food easily in a smart way. And by doing it, we are disrupting the traditional supply chain and saving water and CO2. Okay, so this is basically what you need to know about us. And this is how we do it. It all starts with the approach. We have created a product that can be integrated into every hydroponic environment. Doesn't matter if you have a bucket full of water. We will make it smart. We're doing it by applying sensors, IoT devices, platform that we have developed. We're injecting nutrients, we're balancing the pH, we're doing everything automatically. It all can be controlled from our cloud platform. So you can go into the app, choose the plan that you want to go, and do it automatically. And what is interesting is that all the information that we gathered, and we got several patents on that, is built to optimize the way that you grow. So we save water, we save nutrients, and we optimize the way that the growers are doing it today. It's based on years of research of development, a lot of product development when you need to find the way that you can be integrated easily. I don't have a lot of time, so I will move forward. Why small scale? We saw this as a huge opportunity now to go to the big farms, to go to the small scale. That means home growers, they're doing it for themselves as a hobby, but also small-sized businesses who are growing plants, high-quality leafy greens, and sell it to high-end restaurants. They all have the same issue. They're doing everything manually. And we're doing everything manually, you make mistakes. This is why we build this technology especially for them. And what we saw a few years ago, Walmart and the big companies started to see about 2 years ago. So we see huge increase of selling points. Stores that sell hydroponic equipment, we see 400% increase in the last 3 years, which is incredible. And we see it also. We launched a new website a few months ago. We see people sending us emails and messages that they want to buy the product. We sold a few hundred in the past few months, and full scale, full steam ahead in production in order to support that. A lot of people from the crowd saw me a few years ago, and I always talk about Growy, and I wanted to be a big brand, like the biggest brand in our domain. But what I found out through this amazing program, Tamar, Chen, Dana, everyone, Uriel, thank you so much, by the way, it's an opportunity to thank you for the program, is that we can actually do good. I know that I'm out of time, but I just want to say that we found out that our customers are actually growing 6 times more plants, getting more yield compared to the farming, and this is how we can break the distribution chain. We can cut the whole chain of supply and make them grow it themselves. A lettuce grown with Growy is emitting 94% less compared to the field. And we can do it. We got customers that are doing it today, growing their own food. I'm going to finish by saying that CO2 emission is important, but also water is important. In Israel, we don't have a lot of water. And if all of our customers will use Growy, or total available market will use Growy, we'll be able to save about 30 times the amount of water that this country is using every year. So thank you so much for your time. I appreciate it.
My name is Teddy Golan, and I'm the CEO of SoulChip. Thank you for this opportunity. We are IoT solution providers. We have developed an autonomous, zero-maintenance precision ag system that provides the entire power, communication, and AI requirements for full digitation of any crop cultivation. Through our everlasting battery, which is based on our light chips, we are able to supply power to all the farmer needs, from various off-the-shelf sensing equipment to even controlling of valves, switches, and actuators. This unique product can harvest light energy in very low light conditions, such as indoor surroundings. Sorry, I have some technical issue here. Indoor surrounding and greenhouses, and does not require direct sun exposure. The product is also innovative and one of a kind in its ability to store, manage, and distribute power through long blackout periods and controlling of irrigation and fertilization systems. We are already selling our products worldwide and now move into sales growth phases. We are mitigating climate impact through production optimization. Our solution allows for both yield increase as well as reduction of water and fertilization through the deployment of precision ag. The use of our solution enables a wide variety of cases, both in terms of crop types and precision ag systems. Out of a diverse matrix of use cases, we have chosen to present a banana production case because bananas are known to be heavy water consumers. 40% water reduction per hectare per year of banana translates into 55 cubic meters of water saved, which in turn, with a scale of size of around 300 hectares served by us today, means we are saving around 500 tons this year, and assuming global deployment, we are getting at 500,000 tons by year 5. We are not only saving water, we are also allowing for a yield increase as well as fertilizer reduction. And on top of this, we are also saving energy and eliminating any maintenance operations. As a precision ag technology enabler, we are applicable to many categories of the Climate Map Challenge. Digitizing app operations as a major contribution to mitigating climate issue in different categories, and a variety of such are shown on this slide. We are passionate about digital transformation of ag operation as a way to mitigate climate impact issues. Thank you.
Yes, Datan is not here. I'll be filling in. So I'm Alex from Treatoscope, and we are a precision irrigation startup, specifically in orchards. Our vision is to provide growers with the most accurate irrigation recommendations. And for that, we're developing a SaaS platform, which at its core is sensor technology, a unique sensor that we have developed, which enables us to measure the water flow inside trees. Combining that with soil data, weather, satellite imagery, enables us to get a full picture of what's happening in the field in terms of the water status in trees. So it's no secret that optimizing irrigation improves land use, reduces CO2. It also reduces soil contamination and pollution. So if we take an example, one of our main crops that we're interested in, which is almonds, while covering 500,000 hectares, we're able to save 140,000 tons of CO2 emissions, which are equivalent to 12 million gallons of petrol. And that gives us a 17% reduction in CO2 for ton of almonds grown. And now California, which is one of the main regions that grows almonds, has been experiencing severe droughts, persistent droughts in the past 5 years. And that caused more and more crops to move to Mexico. So that requires their transportation back to the US. And our technology can help prevent and reduce this kind of transportation in the US particularly, and also in generally in the world. The additional impact, of course, is increasing yield by 4% and reducing fertilizers and water application by 20%. So thank you for your time.
53% of the arable land in the world is grown by smallholder farmers, 80% of which don't have access to irrigation. So we rely on them and they fully rely on the weather. But the weather is changing rapidly. On this map here, you can see that by 2050, a lot more of the African population will be under very high water stress. And that's the same for floods, which are becoming increasingly frequent. This has an impact on the yield, with more and more bad seasons impacting the yield, but also full climate types disappearing. Like it's becoming even increasingly difficult to grow coffee in Ethiopia, for example. It also impacts populations that don't have the means to adapt to the new weather conditions and are already vulnerable. So I'm Simon Schwal from OCO, and at OCO we design and distribute automated crop insurance to increase smallholder farmers' resilience to climate change and help them adapt to new weather conditions. Using the widespread adoption of mobile phones and the availability of satellite data, we designed a solution that is very easy to use for these farmers. They can use their phone without internet, without a smartphone, without a bank account to obtain a quote and pay for insurance. From that point onward, we will monitor the weather at the precise location of their field. And if we see that they suffered from a drought or a flood, then we automatically pay them a financial compensation, helping them to recover. Designing an automated crop insurance is great, but getting farmers to adopt it and to pay for that is the real challenge. So we created a distribution solution that helps farmers access it, and it's universally accessible. We have hundreds of agents, for example, now in Mali, who are trained and equipped to bring insurance to smallholder farmers. In 2 years, we became the largest crop insurer in Mali, and we addressed 18,000 farmers already. We have a double impact. On one hand, we increase climate resilience. Farmers are now that are insured are able to recover after a bad season and have the financial means to invest in their field and buy inputs and seeds to prepare for the next season. On the other hand, we also improve financial inclusion. Our farmers, 98% of them access insurance for the first time. And because they are insured, the risk of non-repaying loans is lowered, which means they have easier access to financing so that they can get equipped to adapt to climate change. And the longer term, we have a secondary impact on desertification. We know that millions of hectares are lost every year due to desertification, but if we can help farmers maintain their activity in these areas, then we help reduce desertification. So we aim at becoming the largest crop insurance in emerging markets, and at the same time, being the most impactful insurance solution you've ever heard of. Thank you very much.
Last, wow. Okay, I hope you enjoyed that, and thank you so much for the team for this great support. I'm Carmita Ron, I'm the CEO at Salicrop. So Salicrop has developed a proprietary product enhancement to improve seed performance under stress conditions, allowing greater efficacy and functionality to be delivered directly by the seed to increase farming yield to feed the world growing population. So if you're asking yourself, what is that? Because I heard some people talking there. It's actually enhancement. It's a kind of a very similar to priming. We're soaking the seed in a specific formula that increase eventually the yield. We have now active in few areas around the world, in Mexico, Italy, Spain, of course, Israel, India, and more. And we've increased yield in crops, specifically cereals and vegetables. So by increasing yield and greater biomass accumulation, Salicrop has the potential to increase soil carbon sequestration, reduce greenhouse gas emissions, and revive degraded lands. Storing atmospheric CO2 in the soil is a key strategy for mitigating climate change, and today's soil carbon pool is 3 times bigger than the atmospheric pool. So the UN estimates 12 million hectares annually of land are lost to land degradation, cost the world economy $40 billion a year, with a potential loss of 20 million tons of grain. Saline soils, which is what we are actually focused on, cover 400 million hectares of the total land area of the world, reduce soil carbon sequestration, and weakens the carbon sink function. Salt tolerance plant could be used to sequester carbon in the salt affected areas. So a major pathway to building a soil carbon storage is the adoption of cover crops. And this is where I'm going, this is where I'm heading. So management strategy for increasing soil organic carbon stores would be the focus for this presentation. So cover crops are growing in popularity to fight climate change. It's already now accounts for 22 million acres of land, 43% increase from 2021. Estimates say that by 2030, between 40 and 50 million acres of land could be cover crops. So I want to take this use case of barley, which is one of our portfolio crops. If we're looking at the US, so Globally, first we're going to say that barley is the fourth most important cereal crop after, of course, wheat, maize, and rice, and it's growing in 56 million hectares globally. If we're going to look at the American use case, we're looking into 2 million hectares of barley, and with the total soil organic carbon storage of potentially of 160 million megagram of carbon. With Salicrop, with the potential of increasing biomass and extending to marginal lands in 20%, we're looking into the extra 32 million megagrams of carbon. So, what is our vision? Turning a burden into an opportunity. Growing cover crops in marginal lands. Strategically placing cover crops with Salicrop technology in unproductive marginal lands, marginal lands sequester carbon, improve soil health, and has the potential to generate additional income to farmers. Thank you.
Thank you, Kermit. That's it. We reached the end of the event. I want to thank the startups. It's amazing to see the process that you went through this month. At the beginning, you didn't know what carbon credits were, and now you're talking the talk. So we know it's just the beginning of your way in climate, but we are seeing a great future for you. So that's it. Enjoy the networking. Looking forward to see you in our next events. And thank again to the ecosystem partner for helping us create this amazing program. And thanks again for Planetech. It was a great opportunity to work with you. Bye-bye.